At the age of 16, most kids around the world are probably more worried about their homework or their first heartbreak. Not many of those kids will be dreaming of playing for one of the biggest teams in world football. However, there's a very young phenomenon who's been waiting in the wings for a very long time and has finally made history with one of Germany's biggest clubs. Just a day after celebrating his 16th birthday, Is Moukoko replaced free-scoring Erling Braut Haaland during Borussia Dortmund's win over Hertha Berlin. By stepping on the field, Moukoko became the youngest player to play in a professional match in Germany. Dortmund won the game 5-2 and Haaland, the player Moukoko had replaced, scored 4 goals, but the game would perhaps be always remembered for the youngster's debut. Moukoko also broke Nuri Sahin's record when the former Dortmund Academy graduate made his debut at the age of 16 years, 11 months and 1 day against VfL Wolfsburg back in August 2006. The teenage sensation has been playing in older age groups regularly and blew his teammates away ever since he joined the first time. Haaland, who's only just arrived, 8 or 9 months isn't really a long time, has been impressed by what he's seen from the teenage protege. "I would love to play alongside him," says Haaland, who recently won the 2020 Golden Boy Award for the best under-21 player playing in a European country's top division. "I think he's the biggest talent in the world right now. He's 16 years and 1 day old. That's amazing. He has a big career ahead of him. We're lucky to have him." Moukoko could also become the youngest debutant in Champions League history if he's given some game time in Dortmund's next European game against Lazio in December. The current record is held by Celestine Babayaro when he was 16 years and 87 days old when he made his Champions League debut for Anderlecht way back in 1994. We're pretty certain that Moukoko is going to become the new owner of this particular record. The youngster's been scoring goals and goals and goals at various youth levels at Dortmund. He's scored an astonishing 141 goals in 88 youth games, and this season Moukoko has already scored 13 in only 4 appearances for the under-19 side. But did you know that we might not be talking about Moukoko right now had Dortmund not convinced the German footballing authorities of making a certain change in the rules? A few months ago, Bundesliga laws didn't allow teams to field players under the age of 17. However, Borussia Dortmund were able to convince the Football League to lower the minimum age from 17 to 16. And this is why we're able to see Moukoko become the youngest person ever to play a professional game in Germany. So who is Moukoko? The youngster may have been setting the junior levels in Germany on fire, but his story goes back to Yaoundé, a city in Cameroon where he was born and raised by his grandparents. Just like most boys in his area, Moukoko also had a passionate love for the game. At the age of 10, he moved to Germany to live with his father, who'd been working in Germany for a number of years. The youngster initially joined the youth setup at St. Pauli. Interestingly, Moukoko arrived at his first training session wearing running shoes, since he had no idea what organised football was like in Germany. Nonetheless, not wearing the right shoes would not stop him from scoring goals from the get-go. Coaches were amazed by the player's IQ to find space and avoid getting pummeled by defenders. Fully aware of his physical attributes, Moukoko improved at staying away from physical fights without impacting the ability to score goals. Only last year, the youngster was signed to a long-term contract by sports giant Nike. Since then, he's always been under the spotlight even though his club and the national team have tried their best to protect him. After Youssoufa's first international games at the under-16 level in 2017, the hype was at times so huge that, together with Dortmund, we decided to let him make his next steps solely with his club. Michael Schönweitz, the head coach of Germany's youth teams, said, "The hype doesn't do anyone any favours," said Stefan Kuntz, coach of Germany's under-21s. "The first low is always the toughest. Indeed, at such a tender age, huge expectations are never a good thing, which is why you'd understand why Borussia Dortmund are so eager to protect their latest prize jewel." Lars Ricken, the current head of the club's youth academy, knows how difficult it can be for a wunderkind to exceed expectations. During the 90s, Ricken was tipped to become a global superstar after he scored a 30-yard chip in the 1997 Champions League final against Juventus. However, injuries ruined things and the player's ambitions were shattered. And the German, alongside Nuri Sahin, are being very careful in their assessment of Moukoko. "We don't have to cram the rucksack he has on his back even more," Ricken said. Others agree. As of yet, the sun always shines for Youssoufa. He hasn't had any rainy days, but these rainy days will come, Nuri Sahin, a former Dortmund midfielder, told German football magazine Kicker. Throughout his career, which hasn't even begun to be honest, Moukoko has already dealt with a lot of abuse and criticism. When he started with the Dortmund under-16 side at the age of 12, scoring goals at will, people started questioning his age, and Bild even wondered if a 12-year-old player can be so dominant. In a bid to protect his son from such unwarranted questioning, his father presented a birth certificate issued by the German consulate in Yaoundé. However, that wasn't enough, and back in 2018 the teenager admitted that it was hard for him to deal with all these stories. Former Germany under-16 coach Michael Fichtenbeiner witnessed firsthand how this was affecting the young striker. The rage about him was extreme, and the public speculation about his age often pushed aside the appreciation of his actual performance on the field. During a very recent game between Dortmund and Schalke's under-19 teams, Moukoko faced a lot of hate from spectators who had the most vile things to say to the player after he scored his third goal. Spectators were heard saying that they would break his bones and that he should lie down in his grave. At the age of 16, such vileness is never good for a player, but Moukoko showed a lot of maturity and said that he will continue to do whatever brings him joy and that he'll never be held back by the constant hate that he faces. Holland has been scoring goals for fun ever since he arrived in Germany. The young Norwegian is currently a goal behind Robert Lewandowski in the league goal standings, but feels that Moukoko is way better than he was at his age. There was a reason why Dortmund decided not to invest in a backup to Holland, because they had absolute faith in Moukoko's ability to chip in whenever he needed. "Moukoko is much better than I was at his age," he says. "I've never seen such a good 15-year-old in my life." He was not able to score a goal on his debut, but we're sure that sooner or later he'll score his first, and once he does, who's to say that the floodgates won't open for him? And the more he plays and the more he shines, the hype is only going to get bigger. And this is where Dortmund could be worried. The Germans have a raft of talented young players to call upon, and Moukoko is the latest. The club has some sort of secret sauce that allows youngsters to thrive and become global stars. So we're certain that Moukoko is also going to enjoy a similar rise to prominence like Christian Pulisic, Jadon Sancho, Erling Haaland and Gio Reyna. Lucien Favre is a very intelligent manager and always seems to get the best out of the younger lot. Now with Moukoko to rely upon, the Swiss tactician will be relishing the prospect of unlocking his potential and making him a serial goal scorer in top-level football. With the international break now over, games are going to come thick and fast, so you can bet your horses that the young striker is going to get a lot of chances to continue gaining more and more experience. Moreover, it will be very important for Dortmund to see Moukoko start delivering at his age, because Holland is unlikely to remain at Signal Iduna Park for a long time. BVB are a really good side, but they don't seem to be a team that's built to win titles every year. This is why the Norwegian might consider moving elsewhere if the right opportunity presents itself. So when the time comes for Holland to experience something new, Dortmund will be hoping to then call upon the talents of Moukoko, and then hope that they have another talent waiting in the wings. This is the Dortmund way, but as long as they keep producing talented players such as Moukoko, they won't have to worry about losing any of their latest crown jewels.